What'd you call me?
I'll be Achilles, you be Hector.
I don't read none of that nonsense.
It's easy. You swing your sword, like this.
Now ain't such a good time, kid.
Guess it never is.
Don't waste your life worrying about people who don't care about you. You got me. You got the whole camp. Stop them tears. You hear?
Yes.
There's a fine boy you got.
If he's mine,
Of course he's yours. It's the truest of gifts, child. Yet you push him away.
I ain't no kind of father. I wish there wasn't no harm, but well, you know how we live.
We live free.
If you say so. I ain't the one taking Jack on fishing trips.
No, you ain't. If you say the boy ain't yours, what's the difference? You probably only run off again.
Thank you, John. I was just worried sick.
I know. It's okay.
Unless you bring me John Marston.
I have a goddamn plan! We need money! You dumb fool! Money! Or we are dead! We are all dead!
We ain't both gonna make it. Go. It would mean a lot to me. Please, go.
Arthur, you're my brother.
There are many interesting mysteries that lie in the vastness of Red Dead.
With the fact that we really haven't seen anything before 1899, there is lots of mystery even in the game.
One of these mysteries even involves the ambiguities of who the father of Jack Marston really is.
Now, I know you might hear that and think, well, it's obviously John Marston, and it most likely is. But Rockstar has left tiny seeds throughout the story of Red Dead to plant the idea in your head that John Marston might not be Jack's real father.
Allow us to explain. We will start on how this theory came to be.
Discussion around this topic began surfacing a few years ago, around the same time Red Dead 2 came out.
This discussion sprouted off of a discovery in-game that involves Arthur antagonizing Jack, in which Arthur says this.
I have to say, you don't look much like a Marston. Maybe a Williamson or an Escuella.
Arthur saying this sparked a discussion in the Red Dead community that caused people to question the idea of Jack being John Marston's son.
There has also been some instances where we learn about Abigail's past with the gang, such as this cutscene in Red Dead Redemption 1.
You know, gentlemen, this man here, oh, he married a whore. Used to ride with us. We all had her. Oh, but he married her. And you know that makes him a better man than us. He's a better man.
We learned in this interaction that Abigail used to be a prostitute and then fell in with the gang. We also learned that before she ended up with John, she had been with multiple other gang members.
We also know that prior to the story of Red Dead 2, John left the gang for a year due to him believing that Jack was not his son.
There are plenty of interactions and moments towards the beginning of the game that show that John doesn't care too much about Abigail or Jack.
Back to what Arthur said to Jack, he mentions how Jack looks more like a Williamson or an Escuella. Now if we take a look at Jack Marston at the end of Red Dead 1 and we take a look at Javier Escuella, there's definitely a striking resemblance there.
But at the same time, Jack could be the son of many gang members. He could be the son of Javier, he could be the son of Dutch, he could even be Arthur's child. As for Bill though, I just don't see it.
You bastard orphan!
There's stuff that might point to all these characters, so let's break this down, starting with Javier.
Javier joined the gang in 1895. This was also around the same time Jack was born. I feel like him being the father would maybe make more sense if Javier joined the gang before 1895. But in the small time between him joining and Jack being born, I simply just don't think it would work. Unless maybe Jack was born at the end of the year.
Not to mention, Jack may look like Javier at the age of 19, but at 4 or 12 or 16, Jack looks nothing like Javier, so this kind of writes off any type of idea that Javier could be Jack's father.
Here's an interesting fact though. At a panel with the cast of Red Dead, the voice of Javier and John said this.
I would have no problem riding with my son Jack.
At least John was man enough to stand up and play the role, at least, right?
This is most likely a joke, but it's interesting to see that Rob responded as if it wasn't.
Next we have Dutch. And there's a tiny bit of resemblance here, and I think it lies mostly in some of the facial hair and maybe the shape of his eyes.
However, I don't think there could be anything here. Throughout the story of Red Dead, Abigail seems to have a distaste for Dutch.
Now this could probably be because there has been some tension between Abigail and Dutch due to some sort of relationship they had in the past, but I believe if Abigail and Dutch had any type of thing going on, it might have been way before she had anything with John.
I think this is enough to write off Dutch as being the father.
And now we have Arthur. And I believe there's a very compelling case here.
While there's not much physical resemblance, there's definitely still a case when it comes to Arthur.
Now, as we know, Arthur has had a soft spot for Abigail throughout the story. There's a page in the journal where Arthur has written a bit about his feelings for Abigail.
Arthur says that he should have married Abigail. I think this alone makes a compelling case.
The thought of Jack not being John's son is very prevalent in the gang. John is in constant denial, and the rest of the gang tries to convince him otherwise when they don't even know themselves.
Arthur possibly being Jack's father makes a bit of sense due to the timeline. Arthur has definitely been close with Abigail longer than Dutch or Javier.
I think Arthur might have had a thought in his mind that he could possibly be the father of Jack, but he knew that he wouldn't be able to be a father with everything that was going on and with the little amount of time he had left in his life. But he is glad that John Marston, the man he trusts most, is generally believed to be Jack's father, which is why he was so set on making sure that John, Jack, and Abigail would make it out alive.
Now, we're not saying that this is true, but even if it is, just because Arthur might think that Jack is his also doesn't make it true. If we really take a look at John, the timeline matches up. He was with Abigail the longest, Jack looked like him the most, and John's personality reflects off Jack's. And if we really think about this logically, Abigail, like any mother, knows her body better than anyone else. And if she strongly believes that John is the father, which she obviously does, it's probably true.
Even if Jack is not the son of John, it doesn't matter. John was in denial at first, but he realized that he was subconsciously building an attachment to Jack. It was at this moment that John realized he needed to stand up and treat Jack like his son, and treat Abigail like a mother. He took that responsibility and made a life out of it. So yes, even if John isn't biologically Jack's father, John is emotionally Jack's father for taking him under his wing and being the father figure. But realistically, it's more than likely that John Marston is the father of Jack Marston.